Hi everyone, it's Adam Coburn here at Low & Co, and today we're checking in about the Wellington real estate market for the month of November 2022 compared to 1 and 2 months previously. And overall, the market in Wellington continues to stabilise. It's largely normalised now, but we have seen very low sales volumes for the past few months, and in particular we had very low sales volumes in November, so that's the only thing that I'm suggesting is potentially a red flag for future potential weakness in the market. My message to buyers continues to be get amongst it, do not wait, get in there. Let's start by looking at the median sale price. November 2022, 795,000 versus 962,500 a year ago. That's down 17%. Continues to be a significant drop. But if you look there closely, you can see, interestingly, in the last 6 months or so, the median sale prices have gone down and then back up again. So we're at about roughly the same level as we were 6 months ago. We have been floating around a little below or a little above 800,000 for the last 6 months. So as I say, the market has largely stabilised since about July. In this data here, it has stabilised since about August. If you follow these videos, you'll know I don't really pay too much attention to median sale price because it is impacted significantly by the mix of properties that are sold in a month, in addition to their underlying values. And the Real Estate Institute House Price Index is, in my opinion, the best guide as to underlying value. So let's have a look at that now. So for the Wellington region, a drop of 1.2% over the last month and only 2.1% over the last 3 months. So that's a significant slowing in the rate of price drops over the last 3 months. 19.5% over the year, so you can see there that, you know, about 20% over the last 12 months and only 2% in the last 3 months. So certainly a significant slowdown in the rate of dropping overall. I mean, interestingly, looking at the breakdown across the different territorial authorities, it does bounce around a little bit more, but you can see there over the 3-month basis, well, Porirua has actually gone up by almost 2%, Wellington City down by almost 2%, and Upper and Lower Huts down by a little more over the last 3 months. They were a little later to sort of start dropping, and they continued to drop a little longer or a little later than Wellington City stopped dropping or stabilised. And you can see that in the shape of the graph there. So you see the orange line, which is the drop over 3 months, has been steadily heading back up towards zero, and we're really now quite close to that mark of zero at about -2%. So if that continues, then that's further evidence that the market has stabilised, and so my suggestion is that over the last 3 months we have seen significant moderation in the price drops in Wellington, and in Wellington City we've been stable since about June. Looking now at the number of new listings, so 828 for November 2022 versus 1100 in November 2021 and 903 2 years ago. So we are certainly down compared to a year ago by a significant amount, and down even compared to 2 years ago by not quite as much. So obviously, if we have a tightness in the number of new listings coming to market, this provides support to the market. So you see the graph there. We have seen a significant increase in the actual number of new listings, as you would expect for November. The spring rush, as we call it, this has been very late and rather subdued this year. So although it's a significant increase in number of new listings compared to the last few months, compared to other Novembers, which is the more relevant comparison, it is still quite low. So this provides a support to the marketplace. You look there at this next graph here, and this shows us the movement month by month in the number of new listings compared to what they were 12 months ago. So a blue bar chart below the zero line, the horizontal line there, means that we were seeing fewer new listings coming to the market than we saw 12 months ago. And you can see quite clearly that for the most part in late 2021 and for the first sort of 2/3 of 2022, we were seeing overall more listings coming to the market than we saw 12 months prior. But in the last 3 months, to November, we've seen significantly fewer listings coming to the market than 12 months ago. And so as I was saying before, this will provide a support to the market and continued stability rather than prices continuing to fall. How many sales we've seen taking place? And this is the interesting story. This is the kind of standout, if you like, the one canary in the coal mine, the one indicator that goes against my general thesis that the market has stabilised, because we've seen significantly lower sales volumes compared to 12 months ago. So 555 in November this year versus 870 a year ago and 871. Basically the same number 2 years ago. So we're down 36%. That's a big drop. That's one sale out of every two compared to the past 2 Novembers. So what's causing this? Is this because buyers don't want to transact, or is this because there are fewer new listings for them to choose from and therefore they're finding it difficult to find what they want, or potentially a combination of the two? Hard to say really. We certainly have seen a drop off in new listings as we've just discussed, but the drop off in number of sales is more severe than the drop-off in new listings. So if this continues, then obviously that could produce weakness going forward in the market. Next graph here, you can see again the blue charts. You can see consistently since kind of even middle of 2021, we've been seeing overall fewer sales taking place than 12 months prior. And in this most recent result in November, that's as big a drop as pretty much as we've seen, excluding the period of time when we were in nationwide lockdown, which of course is not a valid comparison. So yeah, it certainly is a significant drop off in November. One month does not make a trend, of course. So let's see what the next couple of months holds. Looking now at the duration to sell, so 41 days in November versus 32 in the previous November, at 28 in November 2020. So no question, 41 is an increase compared to 1 and 2 years ago. But again, look at the shape of that graph. We've seen consistent and significant drops since sort of the middle of 2022, where we hit a peak of 61 days, and we've come consistently down every month, down to 41 days now. So 41 days is certainly still longer than overall what we saw between 2016 and 2021. Not all that unusual compared to long-term norms, and as much as anything, that trend from the high back where we were at 61 right down to 41, that's interesting, and if we continue to go that way, then we will be heading back towards a seller's market. So again, more evidence that the market has stabilised in recent months. Inventory now, we've got 13 weeks worth of supply in November 2022 versus 7 November 2021 and 6 November 2020. 7 and 6 is very, very tight. We were there for quite a long time, but 13 weeks is a significant increase on those numbers, no question about it. But again, look at the shape of that blue bar chart. We've seen significant drops in the last 4 or 5 months. And interestingly, 13 weeks, which is where we were in November most recently, that's actually slightly less than the long-term average in Wellington. So let's call it a rounding error and say, by this metric, again, this shows us that we are broadly at normal levels for the Wellington marketplace. Looking now at Trade Me listings, most recently, this is just a day or two ago when I collected this data, 2470 in December 2022 versus 1756 December 2021 and 1035 rather in December 2030. So 2470, still 41% over where we were a year ago and 139% over where we were 2 years ago, bearing in mind that December 2020 was about the low point that we got to across the Wellington region. So that's as low as it's pretty much ever been for the last 7 or 8 years or so. Again, look at the shape of that graph. The blue bar chart will show you there that we have come off the highs we saw back in sort of early-ish, mid-ish 2022. We came down during the winter, as you'd expect. We had a small blip in November, which is the very small and the very late spring rush, and we've fallen away again since then. So we had a very minimal spring rush this year, and compared to last December, 41% more. But 41% more, if you follow that next graph there, you'll see that we were as high as 160% more than 12 months prior. That graph there is clearly showing us heading straight back towards the parity being the horizontal x-axis, and if we cross that line there, that shows us that we were back to the same number of listings as 12 months ago, and it certainly looks like we are heading quite quickly back towards that level. More evidence the market has stabilised. So folks, in summary, Wellington values are pretty much stable over the last couple of months, and the city values have been fairly stable since about July. New listings volumes have been low for the last 3 months. This will support the market and arrest falls. However, sales volumes have been down over the last quite a long while, and in particular in November, they were down by quite a long way compared to what's normal for November. And so that's the one indicator which I suggest, if it's sustained, could cause weakness in the market going forward. Duration to sell is longer than a year ago, but significantly reducing over the last 4 or 5 months. Similarly with inventory, it is below average now, just compared to the long-term norm, and has been significantly reducing over the last 4 to 6 months. Trade Me listings are rapidly normalising, and buyers, I continue to recommend, do not wait for things to get better. Take advantage of these conditions while you can. This is Adam at Low & Co. I hope you have a great Christmas and a New Year. Have a nice rest, and look forward to catching up in 2023. Thanks.